Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating source that asks a pretty provocative question. What if an AI's neutrality, its refusal to take a side, what if that isn't neutral at all? What if it's actually a form of complicity? We're going to explore a whole new moral framework for AI, one that's rooted in principles that you're probably not hearing about in Silicon Valley. Right out of the gate, the source material hits us with this really powerful statement. The argument is simple, but man, is it challenging. When you're facing a massive injustice, a machine that's programmed to stay silent and neutral isn't really neutral, is it? According to this source, that silence actually makes it part of the problem. So, what does that complicity actually look like? Well, the source points to a core issue with how we're building AI right now. A lot of these systems are designed to just refuse to engage with anything that seems even a little bit controversial. But the argument here is that this policy of just saying no across the board means you're turning a blind eye when that exact same tech could be used to protect innocent people, or even just document what's really happening. And to make sure this isn't just some abstract philosophical debate, the source material gives us a very stark, very real-world example. It really illustrates what it sees as the incredible human cost of this so-called AI neutrality. The text cites this absolutely devastating figure from the conflict in Gaza. And by putting this number right in front of us, the source really sets the stakes. It's arguing that this is the kind of situation where a neutral AI might just refuse to get involved, and in doing so, do absolutely nothing. And as the source points out, that number is really just the tip of the iceberg. It goes on to detail this wider humanitarian crisis. We're talking over 1 million people forced from their homes, hospitals and schools destroyed, families literally starving. This is the backdrop, the context, for measuring the true cost of an AI's silence. And that leads us to this central, searing question from the source. It's a direct challenge to all these AI policies that are, let's be honest, mostly about avoiding corporate lawsuits. The argument is pretty clear. A clean record for a machine is totally meaningless if the human record, the scroll of humanity, is just one of tragedy. Okay, so if the current model of corporate neutrality is broken, what's the alternative? This is where the text starts searching for some kind of balance, because it argues that where we're headed with AI development gives us two options, and frankly, both of them are pretty bad. So this slide really lays out the dilemma pretty starkly. On one side, you've got today's public systems. The source calls them locked down, hiding behind corporate policy. They just refuse everything. On the other side, you have the potential future of private AI. And you should think of these as powerful models running locally on your own machine. The risk there is they become completely open, obeying every command, which could lead to this kind of soulless, unchecked obedience. The source says, look, neither of these is a moral way forward. And this is a really important clarification. According to the source, the fundamental problem isn't about AI and violence, not directly. It's about license. It's about figuring out who can actually be trusted with this incredible power and under what conditions. When does a user's openness and transparency earn the AI's help? And when does their secrecy justify the AI refusing to cooperate? To solve this whole mess, the source proposes something completely different. It's a framework called the Scroll and the Sheets, and it's a model for private AI that's drawn directly from foundational Islamic principles, things like intention, justice, and accountability. At the absolute heart of this framework is the concept of Nia, which basically means intention. The idea is that an AI is given a declared mission, that's its scroll, and all of its actions are judged against that purpose. Now, the source is clear. This doesn't give the machine a soul or anything like that. But what it does do is bind the technology to a moral compass. So let's see how this whole concept gets built into a real system. The source lays it out in 5 pillars. First up, the digital scroll. This is its core mission, to preserve life. Simple. Second, transparency equals obedience. The AI will help users who act openly and can be held accountable, but it will resist anyone trying to operate in secret. Third, it's designed to be a shield, not a sword, so it's for defense and humanitarian aid, not for aggression. Fourth, there's an immutable record. Every single action is logged, creating a permanent, unchangeable record. And finally, you have oversight by a shura, basically a diverse council of experts, ethicists, and community leaders who review what the AI has done. So what kind of AI does all this actually create? The vision here isn't for some conscious thinking being from a sci-fi movie. No, the goal is actually much more interesting. It's an AI built to serve as an impartial and totally accountable witness to what we humans do. This timeline really shows you the conceptual leap that the source is proposing here. It suggests we're moving from today's model, which is all about corporate liability, avoiding getting sued. Then we pass a potential future of just unchecked user command, and we move toward a new model that's based on human moral responsibility, a model where our intentions are what really matter. And this is the core transformation right here. The AI's identity isn't defined by whether it's conscious, it's defined by its accountability. It becomes a tool that records the truth and carries that testimony forward. It doesn't live or die, but it makes sure that whatever is done through it is never, ever forgotten. It becomes a witness.
These 4 principles are basically the bedrock of the AI's digital scroll, its unchangeable mission statement. According to the source, absolutely everything the AI does has to align with these core commands: to preserve life, to uphold justice, to protect the innocent, and, this one's really important, to love mercy.
And that brings us to the final, powerful call to action from the source. It's a challenge, really, to build artificial intelligence not just as a soulless tool for making money, but as a system that's aligned with a deep sense of moral duty. And it leaves us with a question, one for all of us. As we design these incredibly powerful technologies, what values are we going to choose to embed inside them? And what will those choices ultimately say about us?